what I realized from reading Nietzsche for 457 consecutive days, and what I shall be reading next. The book I have read is entitled The Gay Science, or The Joyful Wisdom, if you wish to read it for yourself. If you wish just to dip in or dive out, you can go to the Daily Nietzsche playlist I have made here on this channel. Anyway, when I started this project, it was on a whim. I had read about a fifth of the book and was determined to read more, but due to the density of the text, I needed an incentive to push onwards. As this particular book was naturally segmented and numbered, it gave me the idea to form a daily habit which would benefit not only myself, but hopefully others too, via the medium of the World Wide Web. So I decided to restart right at the beginning and read a section a day, every day, without fail. I have read through sickness and health, through convenience and inconvenience, through several hairstyles, and through pain and recovery. And this is what I have began to realize along the way. 1. If you admire one of the great minds of our time, do not solely settle for overviews and opinions of others. Whilst these certainly have their place and are useful to a degree, as hopefully this one is, to really understand what is on offer to you, you need to hear it from the horse's mouth, so to speak. You may be surprised at how much novelty and originality may have been overlooked by another and lay undiscovered, nestled deep within a sentence. Indeed, a certain sentence or phrase may ignite something within you that it has not in another, and give rise to some fresh philosophical perspective that you can use to further build your own. 2. Right, now the bleeding obvious, which is that doing something like this is a large investment in time. So be sure before you embark that you are honestly interested in exploring the ideas of a great thinker before you commit to such a task. Another reason why I chose to do these videos in such a manner was to save you time. By breaking the text into segments, you may just accidentally stumble upon a passage that you otherwise would not have been privy to. I'm sure this is how most of you have found this channel. This method allows the wisdom to be exposed in a more unusual manner than being forever bound on a bookshelf between daunting covers. 3. Trying to narrate an English translation of a book written in 1910, in German no less, is a challenge that has taught me more about language as a whole. Firstly, I would say that this must have been a monumental undertaking to translate such a work so well. However, the syntax of the sentences certainly betray their German origin in places. As with most literature from this time, getting to the actual point is not the paragon of achievement for the author. Instead, it is the journey which seems to be the most important aspect. And whilst our modern perspectives can sometimes find this frustrating, there is a certain beauty to that which you don't find in the words of today. However, where the rise and fall of a sentence would seem natural in English, it can often be interjected with new information pertaining to something mentioned elsewhere, almost as if he is notating his own work as he writes. I think this is probably due to the translation and the difference in sentence structure in the manner in which information is presented between the German and English languages. But I am no expert on language. At any rate, it has been a challenge which has bettered my narration. 4. Philosophy is not a panacea of answers, but a journey for questions. I have come to realize that what I am really searching for in philosophy is not some grand answers such as whether God is real, or indeed in Nietzsche's case dead, but rather that I am searching for new questions to ask myself about it all. For me, philosophy is at its best when laced with metaphor, and I think it is through these imaginative suggestions that we can uncover new questions to ask ourselves, to further improve our love of wisdom, our joyful wisdom. In other words, not to get to the bloody point immediately, but first to try and understand why we are yearning to get to that bloody point in the first place. I have immensely enjoyed this journey through Nietzsche's mind, and I am glad you have joined me along the way. Now, as I mentioned at the start of this video, I decided to do this on a whim, and I enjoy behaving in such a frivolous manner. So I am going against my earlier advice of being sure of something before you start. I am going to blindly dive into the works of the next great mind I am choosing to explore here on my channel. It is the mind of G.K. Chesterton, and I shall be reading his books, Heretics and Orthodoxy. The reason why I have judged to go with this whim is that I read a quote of his, and I thoroughly enjoy this particular flavour of wisdom. You need to hate the world enough to change it, but love it enough to consider it worth changing. Hope you all will join me on the next leg of this philosophical journey I am undertaking here on this channel, and perhaps together we can form some new ideas. Cheers!